Welcome back, and thank you for stopping in. Let's go. RPE, or rate of perceived exertion, is a scale that was created to help athletes, weightlifters, and those seeking a better health, a way to measure the intensity of a workout without a device like a heart rate monitor, a radar gun, or even a stopwatch. The scale runs from 1 to 10, with 1 being no exertion and 10 being maximum exertion, and somewhere between 5 and 6 would be considered a warm-up. So the real work begins around 7. For athletes, a 7 would be considered 70% effort. Weightlifters use the scale to assess how many reps are left in the tank. For instance, an RPE of 7 means that you can still do 3 more reps until failure. And finally, fitness professionals can use it for a variety of measures to assess how someone is feeling. But here's the deal. Do you really think that you know how much harder you can go? Do you know exactly what a 70% sprint feels like? What does 70% of your maximum heart rate feel like? And how many reps are actually left in the tank? In my many years of being an athlete and doing resistance training, the answers to these questions and more are no, you can't. Your body and brain will work together to fool you into taking the path of least resistance. This is an old evolutionary trait that keeps us from expelling too much energy, which 20,000 years ago was extremely important. But today it can sometimes get in the way. And RPE is an example of this. Now, it may be tempting for you to believe that you have the power of truth and perception, or think that you can actually tell how hard you are working. But the reality is, your brain and body are capable of way more than you can provide during a self-assessment. Thus, believing and relying on RPE can have a serious confirmation bias which kills your ability to improve. Since the RPE scale is a measurement of perception, without digging too much into the psychology, the self-fulfilling prophecy comes into play here. The self-fulfilling prophecy is where a false assumption leads to its own confirmation. Or in the military, they'll tell you, perception is reality. Meaning, if you believe it to be, it is so. So if you're to believe your vertical was at 70% effort, it is. However, that could only be 50%. You simply just don't know. Or during weightlifting, if you believe that you have an RPE of 8 and you have 2 reps left in the tank, your body will make it so. Your brain will physically disconnect from the moment and tell you that you were right. This is why we use motivational tactics to push us past the point. Things like music, a motivating partner, or even a calm pause before a set can help us give the extra boost to get us past that initial self-perception. Now, some others will tell you that you can train to understand RPE, and there may be some merit to that conversation. But we must remember that we are consistently adapting and changing our workouts. Next Monday will feel different than the next Monday, and the following Monday will be different from that. Additionally, rest periods should also be changing frequently, which adds another vitally important dynamic to the perceived effort, as resting for shorter durations will definitely increase the perceived effort. If we look at the science, there's a lot of research that's been done on RPE that has actually led to some positive correlations, but those studies are doing things which most of you are not. And I'll get to that shortly. The real question for you and your training comes down to whether or not you should dive into RPE, continue to use RPE, or just leave it out completely. The data and the research seem to identify some pretty good outcomes, but we know that relying on personal perception is not a good way to go about your life and self-improvement. So is the science just bad? Or is it that we are being manipulated? Well, with all the arguments at play, I believe RPE is dead in the water. It'll be a fad that'll eventually fade out of training regimes because there are just too many valid arguments against it. And these arguments can be confirmed from other scientific communities like psychology and neuroscience. But remember when I mentioned that there's a few things that these studies are doing that you are not? Yes, these studies have the key to transform RPE into a really powerful tool that everyone can agree on. And that key is data. Yes, all the studies use devices, charts, and analysis to reveal RPE. So the real question comes down to this. If the studies are using an actual measurement device, are they measuring RPE? The answer is no. They're measuring the actual effort of the athlete. This is not a perception or some unquantifiable self-assessment. And the faster we all drop perception out of the discussion, the faster we can begin to agree on optimizing training regimes. So if you're still set on using RPE, you need to change the variant to a real effort by using a measuring device. A simple tool like a stopwatch or a heart rate monitor is a great start. Or as you get more advanced, you can think about velocity-based training devices that'll capture the speed of the bar, or force plates for better assessments. Your imagination and use of the devices are endless. We are just beginning into a new age of training, and the faster you stop using perception and feeling to guide you and move into data collection with quantifiable results, the faster you'll achieve your goals and leave this old school mindset behind. So, do you think that you're going to change your thoughts on RPE? Please leave a comment below. I have a lot more content coming down the pipeline, so I'd like for you to be a regular subscriber on this channel, so please don't forget to subscribe. I also routinely post on a variety of training topics on Facebook and Instagram, if that's more your thing. Let's keep the conversation going, and I'll see you there.